They throw everything at you today, the weather, the safety cars, all those restarts you did, and you didn't make a single mistake. You must be delighted.
I made a couple mistakes, but allowable ones just because of how tricky these conditions are. You could see how many mistakes people were making, crashing, ending their races very early on, from start to finish. So people on the outside, I really don't think they realize how tricky a race like that is. Especially when you're racing at the front, and when you got a bit of a margin, you can relax, you can get into a really nice rhythm. But like the last 3 laps, they were stressful.
The start was fun. After that, I think I tried to stay with the McLarens, but like basically every other team, we just tag too hard and we overheat our tires, and then the McLarens just take off. And I gave it my all, but then of course at one point they really just took off. I tried to just focus on my own race. But then, of course, the weather just started to play up again, and it was very difficult out there with the slicks when it started to rain. We tried, of course, something else. It was about to work out, but I can't see the radar, of course, of how the weather is moving in. But even if we would have pitted with them a lap later, or the lap that I pitted, it would have always been P2 anyway, So it didn't really matter, but it was fun to try and do something different.
Yeah, very pleased to come home in P3. Not an easy race for anyone, and just keeping it on the road was a handful in itself. But yeah, it's really happy with the podium.
Super happy. The team did a great job. I was happy also I managed, even though I did a couple of mistakes which costed me a bit of time, especially with the spin. But I have to say conditions were super tricky. But otherwise really happy. The team guided me really well throughout the whole race. And now looking forward to China.
It feels a bit mellow in some ways because it was such a crazy race. I'm just trying to get my head around it. Fantastic for the team, first of all. Great strategy. I have to say Charles, our strategist, did a great job. I didn't agree with his call to put me in the pits. The track was bone dry in sector 1 and 2 when I came out, but it was the right call, and just really happy for everyone.
It was one of those races, just had to stay on track and keep it clean, and we did that today, so happy to pick up 6.
We didn't see that coming for the first half of the race. It wasn't looking too good, but then things got a bit more entertaining towards the end. We made some good calls. I think other people were struggling obviously, and we picked up the pieces, and but we're there when it mattered, so very happy.
Big part of the race, we thought P5 was secured, and then obviously the rain arrived, and then everything changed. The first one to blame is myself. After the mistake I've done exiting turn 11, we lost 3 or 4 positions there, which was then very difficult to recover. We overtook 1 or 2 guys on track, but then we were a bit too late for the pit stop, and then we lost a few other positions. So it's been a tricky day.
Obviously a mistake for myself, but I think for it to have the consequences it did was a little bit unfortunate. So obviously I've only got myself to blame. Tried to push too much in those conditions, but the other 56 and 3/4 laps were very strong.
At least I got 1 point, but did I get a point? I don't know if I did get a point. So overall, not what I was hoping for. But there was so much to get accustomed to, get used to, with all the switch settings changes that they were throwing at you, and then just the balance of the car. It was really very, very tricky, really tricky today. So definitely, I think we can improve that in the next race, hopefully, and get the car in a sweeter spot, because I think there's a lot more potential in the car than what we were able to extract today.
We thought we were doing the right choices by staying out in those very tricky conditions. So I think we were running, top 3, like in those extra laps we were doing, and I could see like pretty much every 3-4 corners a car off. So I really thought, okay, as long as we keep it on in between the white lines, we'll be fine. I managed to overtake Yuki, and
I've done whatever I could have done, and just weather didn't come towards us, and the timing and everything, and suddenly I dropped to P11 after safety car, after I rejoined to the track. So the timing and everything was didn't go towards us, and definitely very very shame that we didn't score points.
It's really the performance, that we missed out on this race. If we had a little bit more, we could have been in the mix for points. The cars were fighting in front. I was just there. There was 2 or 3 positions for me to get inside the top 10. But yeah, I just couldn't keep up, unfortunately.
I was quite happy with my performance. I felt like I executed pretty well. There were a few things where we lost a bit of time, but when we're not fighting for the points, that's really the time to try things, and it didn't work out.
We took a chance, to be honest, hoping at least half the track would stay dry. We knew that Sector 3 was bad, but we thought that Sector 1 would stay a little bit drier, so we carried on, and unfortunately it was bucketing down with rain. So at that point, to be honest, I'd backed out of sort of pushing at that point because it was so wet. I was just trying to stay on track, but obviously not ideal.
Before the incident was going very well with what we had. We got some unlucky things, like when we went to the pits and we went back, we had a safety car coming in just in front of me, so I could, when I was able to unlap myself, I couldn't get to the pack because I just had 1 lap to unlap. So basically I restarted the race very much in the back. Tried to recover a bit there, unfortunately touched the curb and ended up in the wall. It's a shame. I'm sorry for the team, and
The incident came from nowhere, to be honest. I was a little bit surprised about losing the car. I was not wider than any other lap. I just found a lot of gravel stuck there in the middle of the circuit, and then I spun. So very costly incident. But I don't know really what to do different. Let's try to analyze it a little bit better. I think it's a little bit unlucky incident, but
Obviously not the way you want to start the year, and a bit of a unfortunate situation, but we move on. Not the first race we wanted, but at the same time, I'm quick, I feel comfortable in the car, and now we need to keep the year started.
Didn't really understand what happened, to be honest, till I got back. Just looking at it, whether it was a white line, Inter's not up to temperature. It just seemed as I upshifted the 4th, I lost the car. So lesson learned. I'm making sure that I spend some time with the boys to understand how I make sure it doesn't happen again. We have a race weekend already next week in Shanghai, so we're going to regroup, keep our heads high. We've had a strong package this weekend, very strong yesterday afternoon, so we need to keep strong and bounce back next weekend.
I mean, usually I take it step by step, and we're keen on having the best outlap possible for the race start. Early in the lap you try to walk those tires, and I overdid it. Like, it's the tiniest mistake you can do, and the car is unsavable. You're just a passenger, and it feels terrible.